Good morning. My name is Alyssa Graves. I'm a pastor at Central City Church, and I'm also the director of the Little Bottoms Free Store that is in Franklinton. We serve families with kids under the age of 3, as well as pregnant women, providing diapers, wipes, baby clothes, and a community space for families to build relationships with one another. I grew up on the southeast side of Columbus, and I then moved away for about 10 years. When I came back in 2017, the city was a very different city than I remember when I moved away. My husband and I moved back to plant a new church here in Columbus, and one of the reasons why we decided Columbus was because it was a growing city, an exciting place to live, and it definitely has been for the past couple of years. There are some challenges in our city, but I'm thankful that there are people who are working to make sure that that even though the city is growing, that our most vulnerable aren't being left behind. It is now my pleasure to introduce to you Mayor Andrew J. Gunther.
Thank you so much. It is great to be with you this morning, and what an exciting day. I know it's a chilly day out there, but the sun is shining, and the future of Columbus has never been brighter. I am thrilled to have all of you here today. I want to thank our Director, Joe Lombardi, and the staff of the Department of Finance, all of our department directors who are here, and all of our colleagues at City Council, President Pro Tem Brown, Councilmember Dorns, Councilmember Favor, thrilled to have you here. And I want to recognize both President Hardin, and I don't know, is our auditor here? Auditor Kilgore is here as well. I want to thank her. I'm looking around. Appreciate you all being here. Matt Casper and Francine Grace, who run Glenwood Community Center and the Recreation and Parks team, for helping us host this event. We've already heard from Pastor Graves, and so grateful for her leadership and her church's commitment to Franklinton, and to Ava Johnson, who you will hear from in just a minute, who's a great partner of ours and the chair of the Southeast Area Commission. Let me take a moment to talk a little bit more about Pastor Graves and why we wanted her to start us off this morning. She's not only the pastor at Central City Church here on the west side, but as she mentioned, she also runs the Little Bottoms Free Store in Franklinton. Since they opened in March, they have been able to help 300 families, our neighbors, by giving out diapers, wipes, and clothing. We appreciate you and the work you do with our Celebrate One initiative. Please give a round of applause to Pastor Graves. So a budget is about numbers, but what we're really talking about today is people, the residents of Columbus, what they need and what they deserve. The $965 million general fund operating budget I am proposing today strengthens the city's near and long-term financial positions through deposits into the rainy day and basic city service funds, while investing in shared strategic policy priorities, neighborhoods, especially our opportunity neighborhoods, neighborhood safety and public health, economic development and affordable housing, birth to 5, kindergarten readiness and education, diversity and inclusion, and innovation and sustainability. You've all heard me say it before, and you'll hear it for the next 4 years. My top 3 priorities are neighborhoods, neighborhoods, neighborhoods. Neighborhoods are the backbone of our thriving community, and we will continue to invest in them in many ways in 2020. First, we're doubling the number of crews in our fight against illegal dumping. We've been making some progress over the last year, picking up more than 3,500 tons of trash and more than 4,300 tires. 53 people were charged with illegal dumping in the last year. We're setting a tone and a condition that if you want to live and do business in our neighborhoods, that you'll protect them and make sure that the quality of life there is safer and healthier for all. But it's clear we need more resources because no neighborhood should be allowed to be a dumping ground. We'll also add another PACE team through code enforcement. A few weeks ago, code enforcement did a door-to-door inspection of Colonial Village on the Near East Side. The 500-plus unit apartment complex was home to multiple code violations, making the residences unfit and sometimes unsafe. But it also generated literally hundreds of police runs. With another PACE team, we'll be able to continue to hold landlords accountable for safety and sanitary units for our residents. We're also increasing staffing for neighborhood infrastructure maintenance, which means more people to boost existing services such as street repair and maintenance, street sweeping, graffiti removal, and snow and ice patrol. We were reminded how important that service is after our first snow event this week. In 2020, we will continue our efforts to reduce the number of vacant and abandoned properties in our city because we know they add blight and can foster crime. Our Recreation and Parks Department does an outstanding job of engaging residents of all ages with community centers and programming that go a long way to build up a neighborhood and provide safe places for our youth to play. Earlier this year, after a walk with our doc down at Marion Franklin, I met with some of our friends on the southeast side who were expressing how much their neighborhood needed programming because the nearest community center was 7 miles away. I'm happy to announce that Recreation and Parks will be adding much-needed after-school programming and other recreational opportunities for the neighborhood, what we call a center without walls. This has been a successful approach in the Wedgwood neighborhood, and we're excited to expand it to the southeast, again, listening and taking our lead from our residents. About this time last year, we had just rolled out the One Linden Plan, a roadmap for a safe neighborhood with economic development and access to affordable housing, quality health care, education, and employment opportunities. The Department of Neighborhoods is getting ready to roll out Hilltop Rising, a roadmap for the Hilltop neighborhood, driven by the residents of the Hilltop. The budget I'm proposing today includes funding for the implementation of One Linden and Hilltop Rising to administer and leverage private and nonprofit partners. Public-private partnerships are good for downtown redevelopment and for soccer stadiums. Certainly good enough to reduce infant mortality, drive neighborhood development, and provide pathways out of poverty for our residents. These plans were not meant to sit on a shelf. They're meant to be implemented, and they will. Housing residents can afford remains one of the biggest challenges facing our city. And we know it is top of mind for our residents because they overwhelmingly passed a $50 million bond issue specifically for affordable housing earlier this year. In addition to the bond package, our private sector has stepped up in a big way with a $100 million loan program for developers to construct housing units that meet affordable housing requirements. As we move forward, it's important to understand the two factors squeezing our housing market. The first is jobs. About 54,000 of our neighbors are paying more than 50% of their income on rent. Let me say that again. More than 54,000 of our neighbors are spending more than 50% of their income on rent. That is not sustainable, particularly in a community that's going to grow by another third over the next 30 years. The other factor is growth. As we just mentioned, we're expected to grow by another third in this region over the next 30 years. We've got to increase our housing stock, and we've got to create housing residents can afford, and we know density is key. We need mixed-income neighborhoods and housing options that include apartments and condos. In addition to focusing on the creation of new funding streams to help finance the construction and preservation of affordable units, we recognize that there are many regulatory barriers that can slow down the construction process. So we're working with MORPC on a study to review and make recommendations on how to streamline and, if needed, remove those barriers in order to bring a wide range of housing options online quickly at a regional level. We know that affordable housing isn't just the city's responsibility or the county's responsibility. It is a charge to the entire region. And so having 12 of our suburban neighbors and 2 additional suburban counties being part of that MORPSI study and helping to invest and bring that regional strategy to bear is critically important. In order for us to maintain and keep our competitive advantage around affordability, it is critically important to future economic growth and job creation. This must be our top priority moving forward. More than $6 million will go to the Community Shelter Board to address the needs of our homeless population, including dollars targeted specifically to homeless veterans and pregnant women. Our Development Department will continue to work to advance economic opportunity and shared prosperity by helping create jobs and increase wages. We know that 80% of the businesses in Columbus are small businesses, 25 or fewer employees. We're working to support entrepreneurship, startups, and small businesses to grow those opportunities. In addition, we've set aside funds to help economic development efforts through One Columbus, formerly known as Columbus 2020, that has been a great partner in job creation for the city, helping to make us the strongest and fastest growing economy in the Midwest. The future of Columbus depends on our children today, which is why we're continuing our Celebrate One initiative to reduce infant mortality and the disparities we see between black babies and white babies. We've seen some great progress thus far, but the disparity is still very real, and we will not rest until we bring that disparity down. The 2020 operating budget expands support for pre- and postnatal home visiting through Celebrate One, because it's a proven approach in helping babies make it to their first birthday and beyond. We've also funded 1,000 children to attend high-quality early childhood education, and we will continue preparing for the opening of the Hilltop Early Childhood Center. Safety remains the largest investment we make as a city, and we budgeted $4.8 million to fund 70 new firefighters and 90 new police officers to make sure that we maintain the highest number of police officers and firefighters on our streets and in our neighborhoods in our city's history. In addition, we've earmarked $1 million to fund new fire and police cadet classes to prepare young people for a career in public safety and to increase the diversity in our future recruit classes. I am very excited about this program. And if you haven't had a chance to spend any time with police and fire cadets, I encourage you to do so. They will inspire you about our city's future. This budget continues to fund the comprehensive neighborhood safety strategy, a broad-based approach to neighborhood safety. We will continue to expand Safe Streets, Bike Patrol, and ShotSpotter, the gunfire detection system that has been a great tool for police and neighborhoods. In addition, we will be implementing intervention programs to reduce gun violence through the Departments of Public Health and Recreation and Parks. Gun violence is not simply a safety issue. It's a public health crisis, and we need all of our resources to bring to bear to help reduce gun violence and make our neighborhoods safer. As part of the comprehensive neighborhood safety strategy, I created the Columbus Community Safety Advisory Commission to review and recommend best practices to assure that our Division of Police has the best training, policies, and procedures to protect and serve the entire community. Part of the Commission's work was supplemented by Matrix, an independent third-party consultant. Matrix found there were areas where our police division excelled, but their report also showed disparities in perception and experience based on race, gender, sexual orientation, both inside and outside the division. That's not acceptable in America's equal opportunity city. Matrix made a series of recommendations, and this budget includes funding to begin to implement them, such as hiring additional sergeants, adding civilian positions in key areas, and investing in technology. We expect the recommendations from the Safety Commission by the end of the year, and we also believe we will hire a new police chief before the end of the year. Funding for public safety will be a jump start to changes we already know need to be made. One final note about safety. Last year, based on community feedback, we created an equal employment opportunity position in public safety, outside of the Division of Fire and Division of Police, to alleviate any hesitation from firefighters and police officers in coming forward with complaints. The good news is it's working. The reality is we still have a great deal of work to do. We've had a number of complaints investigated and action taken, reinforcing that the city will not tolerate sexual harassment or racial discrimination wherever it is found. I'm committed to fostering a culture of inclusion and to ensure our workforce and suppliers reflect the rich and beautiful diversity of our city. In 2020, we will increase staff for the Office of Diversity and Inclusion so they can continue to expand their capacity. And next year, the office will hold a one-day Inclusion and Leadership Symposium. Maintaining a healthy environment with abundant natural resources, clean air, and clean water is critical to assure Columbus is America's opportunity city. Climate change is real, and it's a threat to our opportunity and our natural resources, and it disproportionately negatively impacts families that are poor and in our opportunity neighborhoods. But climate change can also be a powerful motivator to innovate. In 2020, Sustainable Columbus will be working to transform the way energy is generated, consumed, and conserved. This work not only results in a cleaner environment, but it also creates high-wage local jobs. Finally, I believe Columbus has its best days ahead of it. But this budget also allows us to be better prepared for any near-term or long-term downturns in the economy. I've been around long enough to know what those look like. Difficult choices about resources and priorities. And so in good economic times, you have to invest in people and in neighborhoods, but also prepare, protect, and save for basic city services in the future. The city will deposit an additional $1 million in the rainy day fund this year, increasing its balance to $80.6 million, exceeding the savings goal of $80 million by the end of 2020, one full year ahead of schedule. And today, I'm setting a new goal of $90 million in the rainy day fund by the end of 2024. That may seem like a lot, but I will remind folks here that between 2003 and 2009, the city spent $91 million out of the rainy day fund in an effort to reduce the impact of cuts to basic city services in neighborhoods. We have the fastest growing economy in the Midwest, and we want to continue to lead the country in job growth and economic development. But as mayor, my job is to make sure that we're saving to protect basic city services when a downturn takes place. Friends, I proposed a 2020 operating budget that is balanced, a budget that maintains our shared commitment to neighborhood development, safety, birth to 5, and affordable housing, a budget that is transparent, accountable, and fiscally responsible, a budget that recognizes that potentially changing fiscal landscape. I am proud of this budget and of our city department's work in meaningfully investing our finite resources to make Columbus America's opportunity city. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce Ava Johnson, the chair of the Southeast Area Commission. Ava? Thanks,
Well, good morning. A little bit louder. Good morning. That helps me with my nerves. Mayor Gunther, City Council, and residents of Columbus, the Greater Southeast Area Commission and neighborhoods of Columbus are very grateful that you're including after-school programming and recreational opportunities in your budget. I want everyone to know that Mayor Gunther cares about neighborhoods. I first met Mayor Gunther almost 10 years ago when I was a starry-eyed, freshly minted block watch coordinator. Mayor Gunther, a relatively new council member, said he would come to our block watch meeting, and I took him up on it. So on a Saturday cold morning almost 10 years ago, he came. Most of us had never met with a council member, and when he showed up, we were so pleased and very surprised. 10 years later, our friendship and mutual respect continues, and Mayor Gunther hasn't forgotten his love for neighborhoods and for the Greater Southeast communities. We are so pleased to be able to announce that he's included after-school programming and recreational opportunities in the upcoming budget for our community. This is a community that has continuously grown, but we don't have walkable recreational outlets or libraries. As Columbus grows and businesses and employers look at our communities for investment, remember that after-school programs can boost academic performance. They can reduce risky behaviors and promote physical health. They can provide a safe, structured environment for the children of working parents. The time children spend after school influences their development, and those that participate in quality after-school programming develop social skills and establish strong relationships with caring adults. We want to really reverse the school-to-prison pipeline, and Mayor Gunther, you give us reason to believe it's possible. Thanks go to the mayor's team for listening, and to the Greater Southeast Area Commission for never giving up, and to you, Mayor, for caring for our neighborhoods and all of our communities. Thank you.
Thanks.